We're going through the book of Joshua. We're on what chapter are we on? 8. I pray that that doesn't bring any flashbacks to anyone.
Okay.
You know, but we're on chapter 8. Last week we went over chapter 7, which was the story of Achan, and you know we learned how we can become accursed with the things that we allow in our camp, with the things we allow to remain within us. You know, and this week in chapter 8, now that we've gotten everything, all the Achan name means trouble, or troublesome, or troubler. Now that we gotten the troubler out of the camp, we can go before our enemies and not get defeated. Amen?
Amen.
You know, so in chapter 8, we're going to learn how to fight the good fight. We're going to learn how to actually fight with Elohim at our side and win. But it may not look like what you think. All right, we're going to jump right in. Joshua 8:1, and it reads, "And Yahuwah said unto Joshua, Fear not, neither be thou dismayed. Take all the people of war with thee, and arise. Go up to Ai, or Ai if you prefer. See, I have given into thine hand the king of Ai, and his people, and his city, and his land." Okay, so here it is. We see that Most High is commanding Joshua to take all the people with him and go up to Ai in order to do battle with him. Now, this is a contrast from the last time they went up and kind of got their butt kicks. They kind of got beat up on. You know, in Joshua 7:3-4, it said, "And they returned to Joshua and said unto him, Let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai." You know, so they only sent 2,000 or 3,000 up. You know, and it says, "And make not all the people to labor thither, but for they are but a few." You know, and it goes on to say, "So there went up thither other people, about 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai." You know, so here it is. They only sent 2,000 or 3,000, and they got beat up on. Now we know that they had Achan in the camp, and he caused them to become cursed, and so they couldn't stand before their enemies. You know, but we also want to take heed that Yah is telling them, take all the people of war with you. You know, so what is just a few of them? You know, take all the people with them. All the people of war. And so this is what he was commanded to do. And so in verse 2 of chapter 8, we read, "And thou shalt do unto Ai and her king, as thou didst unto Jericho and her king. Only the spoil thereof, and the cattle thereof, shall ye take for a prey unto yourselves. Lay thee an ambush for the city behind it." Now, let's think about this for a minute. See, because when they went up against Jericho, you know, and we spoke concerning Jericho in symbolism. Jericho represented paradise, which is, or Sheol, which paradise is in Sheol. And the city and everything in it was forbidden. They were not to take anything. And this is, of course, what Achan did. You know, he disobeyed that command, and he took some things, you know, and caused the whole camp to become accursed. You know, so this is a very important lesson, you know, that was entailed in Achan, because, you know, not only did he become accursed, he caused his whole family to become accursed, which in turn caused his whole tribe to be accursed, which in turn caused the whole nation of Israel to be accursed. And so they couldn't stand before their enemies, even though they were just some little ones. You know, just a small number, rather. You know, so that's what happened. But we see that the city and everything in it was forbidden. But here, in the case of Ai, you know, Ai and Beth Haven, which represents, Ai means a heap of ruin, and Beth Haven means house of vanity, you know, and symbolically, it spoke to the corrupted Levitical priesthood and the false prophets. So, here it is, we see that when they go and take Ai, they're actually allowed to take the spoil for themselves. See, if my man Achan would have just been patient, if he would have just been patient, you know, he would have got some silver and gold and raiment. You know, and that's oftentimes in believers' lives. You know, Hasatan tempts them in various ways, you know, right before the blessing is coming. Just prior to the blessing coming, you know, they get tempted and they fall for the okie doke. You know, as Achan did. You know, and caused not only himself to be killed, but his whole family and 36 other men from out of the tribe, out of the nation of Israel. You know, all he had to do was be patient. This very next city they're about to conquer, Yah is actually allowing them to take the prey unto themselves. You know, so please do learn that lesson. You know, be patient. Wait on Yah. Joshua 6:18 and 19, it says, "And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed when ye take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel accursed and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto Yahuwah. They shall come into the treasury of Yahuwah." Now, this was the command concerning Jericho. And so they had to, they were not allowed to keep anything. They had to consecrate everything unto Yahuwah. And that word consecrated there is Kodesh in the Hebrew, number 6944. And it means a place or a thing made clean. So they had to take all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron, which were usually shaped and formed into pagan deities, you know, and they had to consecrate them unto Yahuwah. Now there was, you know, Yah had gave specific instruction concerning this sort of thing, you know, that Israel was supposed to do when they took this type stuff. And it's found in Numbers 31. I'm going to read verses 21 through 23. You're not going to have it on the screen, but it says, "And Eleazar the priest said unto the men of war, which went to the battle, This is the ordinance of the Torah which Yahuwah commanded Moshe. Only the gold and the silver, the brass, the iron, the tin, and the lead, everything that may abide the fire, ye shall make it go through the fire, and it shall be clean." So this is how it's made clean. This is how it's consecrated. You know, they had to make it go through the fire. "Nevertheless, it shall be purified with water of separation, and all that abideth not the fire, he shall make go through the water." You know, and so here it is. They were supposed to consecrate everything unto Yahuwah. And of course, Achan took the stuff, didn't consecrate it, buried it up under his tent, and got everybody in trouble. So don't be an Achan. All right, Joshua 8:3. "So Joshua arose and all the people of war to go up against Ai. And Joshua arose out, Joshua chose out 30,000. That's a big difference from 2,000 or 3,000, right? 30,000 men of valor, and sent them away by night." Now, spiritually speaking, this 30,000 speaks to something. The number 30 in scriptural numerics represents the blood of the Messiah. And 1,000 represents full maturity. You know, in contrast, when they went up the first time, they only went up with 2,000 or 3,000, which speaks, 2 is the number of witness. You know, 3 is spiritual completeness. So here it is. The first time they came up spiritually complete to bear witness, you know, but that wasn't enough. You know, now Yah tells them, you know, no, don't leave nobody behind. Take all the men of war. And so Joshua chose out 30,000 mighty men. You think he just chose out 30,000 by happenstance? You know, no. See, that's the thing that I always try to get across. Every verse, every word in Scripture was put there, you know, purposely. You know, this is no coincidence that 30 in scriptural numerics speak to the blood of the Messiah, and then 1,000 speak to full maturity, because, you know, it's a spiritual picture of those with the blood of the Messiah that are spiritually mature that's going to go to war against IE. You know, like Ecclesiastes, King Solomon teaches us in Ecclesiastes, everything that happened yesterday is going to happen again. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. And just like this happened times past, it happened during the time of Yeshua, spiritually speaking, and it's going to happen again in a future time, you know, maybe dealing with us. So it's important to understand what's going on here. Let me have my first reader read verses 4 through 7.
And he commanded them, saying, Behold, ye shall lie in wait against the city, even behind the city. Go not very far from the city, but be ye all ready. And I and all the people that are with me will approach unto the city, and it shall come to pass, when they come out against us, as at the first, that we will flee before them. For they will come out after us, till we have drawn them from the city. For they will say, They flee before us, as at the first. Therefore we will flee before them. Then ye shall rise up from the ambush, and seize upon the city, for Yahuwah your Elohim will deliver it into your hand.
Okay, God's giving us a plan. We have a plan this time. We're not just going up before the city. You know, we actually have a plan we're putting in place. That's being put in place. You know, like I said, through this lesson, y'all willing, you know, you're going to learn how to fight. You know, you're going to learn how to fight your spiritual battles. You know, and even though we're in the flesh, we're supposed to be spiritual beings. I mean, you know, now I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't have the blood of Messiah upon you, if you're not mature, then stay off the battlefield. Okay? You know, I'm gonna tell you that right now. See, because they needed all 30,000 of these, and they needed them to be mature. You're not gonna send a bunch of kids, you know, out there that don't know anything about war, right? You know, so we're not going to do that spiritually either. Now it says in verse 4, Behold, ye lie in wait against the city, even behind the city. Go not very far from the city, but be ye all ready. You know, so, okay, so now we're going to have an ambush going on, right? You know, and the plan is that Joshua and all the people that are with him will approach unto the city, and it'll come to pass when they come out against us as at the first time that they're going to flee from. You know, they're going to flee from them, and they're going to come out thinking that, oh yeah, we're about to whoop them again. You know, but when they chase them out, then they're going to rise up from the ambush and take the city. Sounds like a pretty good plan, doesn't it? All right, let me have my next reader read verses 8 through 11, please.
And it shall be, when ye have taken the city, that ye shall set the city on fire, according to the commandment of Yahuwah shall ye do. See, I have commanded you. Joshua therefore sent them forth, and they went to lie in ambush, and abode between Bethel and Ai on the west side of Ai. But Joshua lodged that night among the people. And Joshua rose up early in the morning, and numbered the people, and went up, he and the elders of Israel, before the people to Ai. And all the people, even the people of war that were with them, went up and drew nigh, and came before the city, and pitched on the north side of Ai. Now there was a valley between them and Ai.
Okay. And now, just as a reminder, Bethel means house of El. Ai means heap of ruins. Okay? And it says that they abode between Bethel and Ai. And we spoke about Ai representing the Levitical priesthood, you know, which was actually right before Bethel. That's where they dwelt in the encampment of Israel. The Girgashites, you know, speaks to the refugees, and they were on the west side of the house of El. You know, so they were back there waiting for the ambush. And it says, and Joshua rose up early in the morning and numbered people, and went up, he and the elders of Israel, before the people to Ai. And they pitched on the north side of Ai. Now there was a valley between them and Ai. Now take note that the Merarites, whose name means embittered or provoked, they were on the north side of the house of Elohim. Anybody been embittered or provoked lately? You know, they were on the north side. Let me have my next reader read verses 12 through 17.
And he took about 5,000 men and set them to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai, and on the west side of the city. And when they had set the people, even all the host that was on the north of the city, and their lairs on the west of the city, Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley. And it came to pass when the king of Ai saw it, and then he hastened and rose up early, and all the men of the city went out against Israel to battle, he and all his people, at an appointed time, before the plain. But he wist not that there were liers in ambush against him behind the city. And Joshua and all of Israel made as if they were beaten before them, and fled by the way of the wilderness. And all the people that were in Ai were called together and pursued after him. And they pursued after Joshua, and were drawn away from the city. And there was not left a man in Ai or Bethel, and they went not out after Israel. And they left the city open, and pursued after Israel.
Okay, so we read in verse 12, and he took about 5,000 men and set them to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai on the west side of the city. Okay, so we have 5,000 on the west side waiting in ambush, right? So that means we have how many on the north side? 25,000. Good answer, absolutely. Right. So, you know, we have 25,000 in the north, and we have 5,000 in the west. All right? You know, all that stuff is revelatory. We're gonna get into that shortly. The number 5 speaks to grace. That's the number of grace. So, and 1,000 represents maturity. So this is those who are mature, that have the grace of Elohim. Okay, and 25, the number 25 speaks to forgiveness. You know, so these are the mature believers of Elohim that forgives and are forgiven. You know, and they're out there on the battlefield. They're encamped over in the north. And it says, and Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley. You know, and that's real revelatory as well, because, you know, within the midst of that valley, you know, there was a gorge. And Joshua, who typifies Yahushua, you know, he's in that gorge. You know, and this is, you know, this has is very revelatory when we're looking at this from the present day application or futuristic application. And just as a reminder, Scripture teaches on 3 different levels at the same time. It teaches on the past, the present, and the future. Hence, the Messiah, who is the Word, is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. He's who was, who is, and is to come. And he is the Word. You know. So, that being said, you know, there's a present day application as well as a futuristic day application, you know, to this. And it says Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley, you know, and just spiritually speaking, Joshua is still in the midst of that valley. You know, we know that he had, I should say Yahushua, you know, in which Joshua typifies. We know that he has been put into the grave and now is ascended to the right hand of the Father. And actually, you know, that's a picture of him being just there. You know, the word valley even speaks to ascending. You know, even though it's speaking of a valley, something that goes down. This particular word, that is. Now it says, but he wist not that there were liars in ambush against him behind the city. So the king of Ai saw it, and they hasted and rose up early in the morning, and they went out just as planned. They going out, they're trying to get their fight on, take the fight to them. And it says at a time appointed. Now this word, these 4 words, at a time appointed, is all translated from one Hebrew word, number 4150, which is moed, you know, which speaks to an appointed time. You know, and this is usually the word that's used for Yah's feast days. And just about it. And just about in the mass majority of the cases it's used in scripture, it's in reference to, one of his feasts. Could this be a hint, a romance, if you would, that futuristically this is going to take time at one of the appointed feasts? Could be. Can't say for sure, but figure out, at least make you aware of it. Now, it says, and Joshua and all of Israel, this is verse 15, and Joshua and all of Israel made as if they were beaten before them and fled by the way of the wilderness. Now, this is important for you to remember. This is part of the plan. The enemy actually thinks that they're scared, afraid of them, and that they're running from them, and that they're whooping on them. It says, and Joshua and all of Israel made as if they were beaten before them and fled by the way of the wilderness. Now that's important to remember, so put that on the shelf. We'll take it down in a minute. And verse 17, and there was not a man left in Ai or Bethel that went not out after Israel. And they left the city open and pursued after Israel. The plan is working, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, verses 18 through 20, my next reader, please.
And Yahuwah said unto Joshua, stretch out the spear that is in thy hand toward Ai, for I will give it into thine hand. And Joshua stretched out the spear that he had in his hand toward the city, and the ambush arose quickly out of their place. And they ran as soon as they had stretched out his hand. And they entered into the city and took it, and hasted and set the city on fire. And when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended up to heaven, and they had no power to flee this way or that way. And the people that fled to the wilderness turned back upon the pursuers.
Okay, the plan is working. So here it is. Yahuwah tells Joshua to stretch out the spear that's in his hand towards Ai, because he's giving the city over to him. And so Joshua does so, and the ambush, they arose quickly out of their places and they ran as soon as as he had stretched out his hand. So that was their signal, and they entered into the city and took it and hasted and set the city on fire. And it says, when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended up to heaven. They had no power to flee this way or that way. They were sandwiched. And the people that fled to the wilderness turned back on their pursuers. Okay, it's time to stop running now. It's time to stop faking. It's time to fight for real. So, the plan, excellent plan. They executed it perfectly. Verses 21 through 25. My next reader, please.
And when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city, and that the smoke of the city ascended, then they turned again and slew the men of Ai. And the other issued out of the city against them. So they were in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side, and they smote them, so that they let none of them remain or escape. And the king of Ai they took alive and brought him to Joshua. And it came to pass, when Israel had made an end of slaying all the inhabitants of Ai in the field, in the wilderness wherein they chased them, and when they were all fallen on the edge of the sword, until they were consumed, that all the Israelites returned unto Ai and smote it with the edge of the sword. And so it was that all that fell that day, both of men and women, were 12,000, even all the men of Ai.
Okay. Number 12 speaks to government. Even divine government. And, of course, 1,000 is maturity. So you can start seeing, a picture forming here in the symbolism. And that's what we're going to get into in a minute. Verses 26 through 29, my next reader, please.
For Joshua drew not his hand back, wherewith he stretched out the spear, until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. Only the cattle and the spoil of the city Israel took for a prey unto themselves. according to the word of Yahuwah, which he commanded Joshua. And Joshua burned Ai and made it an heap forever, even the desolation unto this day. And the king of Ai he hanged on a tree until eve time. And as soon as the sun was down, Joshua commanded that they should take his carcasses down from the tree and cast it at the entering of the gate of the city, and raise thereon a great heap of stones that remaineth unto this day.
Okay. Now, remember what we went over last week when Scripture says, and raised thereon a great heap of stones. You know, they did this, you know, that it might be a monument, that it might be a testament, a testimony to something that Israel is not supposed to forget. So whenever we see this, we want to pay close attention, because there's a great lesson to be learned there. You know, and there is a great lesson to be learned here within this passage. You know, and we're going to get into that. We're going to look at this a little closer. We're going to delve in from the symbolic viewpoint, so that we can see what this passage is teaching us now today, what it's teaching the body of the Messiah. You know, we just went over the historical account of it, but now we're going to see how it applies, you know, even to us during this time as well as in the future. You know, so that we can take something with us and actually apply it to our lives. Amen? Amen. You know, and what we're going to learn is how to get our fight on. You know, and this is a very crucial passage to understand, because it actually teaches us how to do battle. So, first, let us recall that we're told that Ai was beside Beth Haven on the east side of Bethel. You know, and we spoke about Ai representing or typifying the corrupt Levitical priesthood, and as well as the false prophets. You know, Beth Haven typified the false prophets. So here it is. We see a spiritual picture of the Levitical priesthood and the false prophets, and they're on the east side of Bethel. Okay, this is how the encampment of Israel was set up. And so here it is. We have the tabernacle, which would be the equivalent of Bethel. This is the house of El, right? You know, and we see who was on the east side was the sons of Aaron, which were the priests. You know, so we had a priesthood, you know, which actually represents Ai. You know, so it says that Ai means a heap of ruin, or a heap of ruins. You know, and we know that the Levitical priesthood is a heap of ruins now. You know, now in understanding the symbolism, you know, Joshua and Israel defeated their enemies yesterday, and it'll help us defeat this. By understanding this, you know, we'll understand how Joshua and Israel defeated their enemies yesterday, and it'll teach us how to defeat our enemies today and tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to consider that Israel attacked Ai from every direction but the south. Did anybody catch that?
Yes.
You know, they attacked Ai from every direction but the south. You know, when they first attacked them, it was from the east. You know, Joshua and the 25,000, they set up on the north. And the 5,000 that laid ambush set up on the west. So they attacked from every direction except from the south. You know, and the south speaks to the bottom. Now, first from the east, they attacked with 2,000 to 3,000 and were defeated. You know, and from the north, or the top, they attacked with 25,000 and were commanded to run from their enemies. You know, that they might draw them out. And they also attacked from the west, or the rear, with 5,000, but were commanded to wait until they were drawn out, you know, and Joshua would give the signal, and then they would ambush. So we're going to take a deeper look into these things. And understanding the symbolism, i.e., and how Joshua and Israel defeated their enemies yesterday. I just said that, didn't I? But first the natural, then the spiritual. You know, this was what naturally happened. You know, we just read it a natural historical account. Now we're going to get into the spiritual account of the same thing. But before we do, does the remainder of Scripture agree with the symbolism? Is there ever a time that the supposed house of Elohim become our enemy? You know, that's what we have to conclude first and foremost. You know, otherwise we're barking up the wrong tree. Amen? Yeah. We read in Matthew 13:37 through 39. You know, the Messiah is speaking. He's talking of the parable of the sower and the seed. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. Anybody remember what the good seed represented? The Word, absolutely. Okay, the field is the world. The good seed is actually the children of the kingdom in this parable. Yeah, but it was the Word in the other parable. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. Okay, so let us understand this. You know, we know that he sowed some good seed, and through the night the enemy came and sowed tares amongst the wheat. Amen. You know, and it tells us that this good seed, you know, that the one who sowed the good seed was Yahshua. Okay, and the field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. They're in the same field. You know, they're in the same field. They're both in the world. The enemy that sold them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the world. Now, for those of you who remember the parable, they were told not to go and pull nothing up, right? But to let them grow up together. You know, so within the same field, we see the enemy is sold right within our midst. Hence, we have passages such as 2 Corinthians 11:13 through 15, you know, that shows that these tares were, in fact, in the midst of the wheat. It says, for such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Messiah. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. Okay, are you starting to see the picture? There are tares amongst the wheat. Yes. You know, even in the house of Elohim, there are tares amongst the wheat. Right. You know, yes, the tare and the wheat look exactly the same when they're young. You know, so you can't really tell the difference. But you need to know that there are tares amongst the wheat. Yes. You know, Revelation 3:9 teaches us, it says, and speaking to the church of Philadelphia, it says, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Yahudim, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Okay, so here it is, we see a synagogue of Satan that actually claimed to be Yahudim. And to be a Yahudim or Yahuda means to be a praiser of Yah. You know, now they're saying that they're Yahudim, they're saying that they're praisers of Yah, but they are in fact the synagogue of Satan. Right. So can you see that the enemy is right up in the house of Elohim? Yeah. You know, so even as it was being prophesied in the story of Joshua 8, thousands of years prior, that's how Yahsum Yah's word is. So we see that there is a situation that has come about upon the earth in which the house of Elohim actually has the enemy right in its midst. Now the thing is, how do we know the tare from the wheat? You know, so hereby we learn that our enemies aren't so much as the unbeliever, in as much as they are the hypocritical believer. See, this is the enemy that's within the house of Elohim. It's the hypocrite. It's the one who says they're a believer, but don't really believe. It's the one that says that they're going to do, but don't do. See, it's the one that says that they're blessed and highly favored, when really they're accursed and causing everybody around them to be accursed. See, this is the enemy. See, this is just like, if you see, you know, what the scripture is showing us, spiritually, it's the same as Achan. These are the Achans within the body of Messiah. They're as a cancer causing us to be accursed. And we have to root them out even as they had to root Achan out.
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, now the way we defeat our enemies is the same way that early Israel defeated their enemies. You know, so the same way that they defeated their enemies is going to have to be the same way we defeated our enemies. So we're going to take a closer look at how they defeated their enemies. So we're going to consider that in the natural, Israel attacked Ai from every direction but the south. They didn't attack them from the bottom. Now, what we're to learn from this is that we're not to attack their feet. That is, we're not to place a stumbling block before them. For we're called to be building blocks, not stumbling blocks. The Messiah, he's their stumbling block. We're just called to be building blocks. We're not called to be stumbling blocks. See, because the wheat and the tares, they look exactly the same, and we can make a mistake. Or, even in pulling up the tare, we may pull up some of the wheat. So that's why, you know, that's not for us. Hence, we read in Matthew 13:27-30, it says, "So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then have it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? Now what is he going to answer to us servants? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them." See, he doesn't want us doing this. This is not our job. Verse 30, "Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn." Now remember that the reapers spoke to the angels. You know, the servant speaks to us. We're not to go and gather up no tares. No matter how sure you are that that might be a tare. You are not to go and pull no tares up. Because you may root also up some wheat. You know, and don't think that pulling up a little wheat is a light thing. Hence, we're told in Mark 9:42, "And whosoever shall offend one of these little ones that believe in me, it is better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and he were cast into the sea." So you don't want to be mistakenly rooting up no wheat. Amen. 1 Corinthians 8:9, "But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak." You do not want to become a stumbling block to those little ones. You know, because you run a risk of getting into a situation as if you had a millstone hanged around your neck and you were cast into the sea. You don't want to take that chance now, do you?
No.
I pray you don't want to take that chance.
No.
So, let's learn how to do battle. We're going to learn how to do battle Joshua or Yahushua style. Now, we just learned Joshua style. Now, spiritually speaking, we're about to learn Yahushua style, okay? It says, first they attacked from the east. The east represents the front. They attacked with 2,000 to 3,000 and were defeated. We likewise must attack from the east. We must first attack from the front. That is, and we must attack with our 2,000 or 3,000. Remember what 2 or 3 represented? It represented witness. Okay, so we must first make our frontal attack as a witness to the Most High El, as a witness to His truth. Amen? Hence we see in Matthew 18:15-16, it says, "Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother." You know, so now we're talking about battling here. You know, there's an offense that has transpired within the house. Okay? It says in verse 16, "But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established." Okay, so here it is. We are to take our 2 to 3, you know, so ourselves is 1. And if we take 1 or 2 more, then we have 2 to 3. Amen? Okay? That every matter may be established by witnesses. You know, so no one's just taking your word in and of itself. Not that you're not an honest person or anything, you know, but we want to be sure. Okay, so this is the first thing that we do, spiritually speaking, when we want to learn how to fight, when we want to fight against the enemy that's coming up against us. The first thing that we do is we go before them, we confront them, we attack them from the east. We don't attack them from the rear. You understand? It's imperative that you understand we don't attack them from the rear. So when they come up against us, we don't go and start talking about them behind their back. See, that's attacking them from the rear. Amen. We don't attack them from the rear. We have to come from the front. We have to come from the east. We have to first attack from the east. Amen. And there's a reason for that. You know, so we're just going to do a little example, just, you know, just happenstance, hypothetically speaking, okay? Here it is, you know, you're dealing with a brother or sister and they're at work, you know, maybe it's in the workplace or whatever, you know, and you ever have someone at job or what have you that just, you just feel like they just don't like you. For whatever reason, you know, they just don't like you. Just because you woke up today, they don't like you. You know, just your constant breathing in and out all day long just gets on their last nerve. You know, they just do not like you for whatever reason. You ever run across somebody like that? You know, but at the same time, they claim to be a believer. Hello? You know, see, that's some of those enemies that's in the camp. That's some of those tares amongst the wheat. See, but you got to be sure. You can't just go pulling up tears. We already learned our lesson about that, right? You know, so what we have to do is we have to attack from the east. We got to confront them. You know, so here it is. It may be somebody like that, and you may go to them and you may say, "Hey, you know, brother, you know, are you a believer? Oh, yeah, me too. You know, mind if I have a word with you? You know, hey, you ever read this passage, Matthew 5:22? Do not be angry with your brother without a cause, neither belittle him. You know, you've been talking real bad about me, brother. You don't even know me. You know, you're angry with me, but there's no cause. I didn't do anything to you. Can we talk about this? You know, and then if he hear you, you won your brother. That's a real brother.
Yeah, that's it.
He heard you. He recognized the error of his ways. He repented and he got in line.
That's right.
But if he don't, then you go get 2 or 3 witnesses. No, I wasn't talking about you. Well, hold on. I got a couple witnesses. You know, because I got a couple witnesses because I beg to differ. So you bring your witnesses. That in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established. Amen. Yeah. This is protocol for the saint, right? Yeah. This is our Messiah, our Master, teaching us this, right? Okay, so this is what we do. Okay, so we get our 2 or 3 witnesses, we come back. You know, hey, brother, you know, they agree that you ain't with me without a cause. And it tells us if they hear us, then fine, we've won our brother still. You know, because they may not just take your word by itself, but after the 2 or 3 witnesses, that may be enough. You know, but it says if they don't hear you, then you take it before the ecclesia, you know, the assembly. You know, and if they don't hear them, you to treat them as a publican. You know, a reprobate. You know, but the point being, you know, you bring your witnesses up against them, and if they refuse to hear, if they still refuse to hear your witnesses, they refuse to hear, you know, someone, you know, higher up, then now you know who they are.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Now you know who they are. You know, maybe they one of those people who like to tell you how you should be doing stuff. You know, such as we read about in Matthew 7:3-5. Do not try to counsel your brethren concerning issues you haven't resolved yourself. And maybe you just tired of them trying to tell you what you should be doing that they not doing themselves. And so you know, it's getting on your nerves and you feeling oppressed. So you go to them, sister, look here. You know, have you ever read Matthew 7:3-5? let's talk about this. Now, of course, I jest, but, you say it in love. You do everything in love. Don't try to counsel your brother concerning issues you haven't yet resolved yourself. You shouldn't do that. And then maybe you done messed up. And this is where Matthew 9:13 come in at. Maybe you messed up. Maybe you mess up a lot. But you don't mean to mess up. But you're dealing with a believer, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly. They call themselves a believer, right?
Exactly.
And so you go to them and you say, brother, sister, can I talk to you for a minute? You ever read Matthew 9:13? I just want to discuss it with you for a little bit. It says, learn what that means if I would have mercy and not sacrifice. I know I messed up, but I need a little mercy.
Yeah.
I need a little mercy. Mercy is better than sacrifice. I need a little mercy. I don't deserve it. I know I don't. I know I messed up. But I'm just looking for a little mercy. Right. This is how you find out who you're dealing with.
That's right.
It's by following scripture. He done thought this thing all the way through. Just like the plan that he had for IE. He planned all this out too. He knew we was going to have these type of battles.
Yeah.
He knew the tares was going to be amongst the wheat. Amen?
Amen.
So here it is. He also taught us how to fight it. We just need to know how to find it and how to identify with it and how to put it into practice.
Exactly.
So this is number one thing is, when we first attack, we attack, bearing witness to his word. You're dealing with someone that professes to be a believer, so if they profess to be a believer, then they should believe his word and they should acknowledge his word. Amen?
Amen.
If they don't, then that makes them what? A hypocrite, a liar. So we know that they're a tare amongst the wheat.
That's right.
Amen? Okay, now, we should first attack our enemies by confronting them, because this is going to reveal to us if they are in fact a friend or a foe, a wheat or a tare. Make sense?
Amen.
So here it is. Now, show them scripture and in love, can't emphasize that enough, in love. You ain't go trying to be a smart behind like, Pastor Obadiah sounded when he read it. No. You did it in love, in meekness, gentleness, all that good stuff, okay? And you're trying to get them to understand, where you're coming from and to, put the word on them. Okay, so this is what you do, and if they are a foe, if they are indeed a foe, then they're going to run you up out their face, just like IE ran Israel up out their face.
Yeah.
Amen?
Amen.
They're going to come up against you. They're going to beat you upside the head with some words and chase you on up out their face. So that you have to understand that, See, but now, you know what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Amen? So secondly, our second attack. Secondly, Israel attacked from the north. That is the top. They attacked with 25,000, which is the number of forgiveness. So you're talking about the mature believer. The mature believer, that have forgiveness in their hearts. Now you see why it's from the top. See, because this is a mental thing. This deals with your mind. You have to, have forgiveness in your heart or your mind. It's not just something that you just say, haphazardly, yeah, I forgive you. And then you're plotting on how you're going to get them back.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about true forgiveness.
Yeah.
Now, this is real important here. This is real important here. You need to get this. They attacked from the north or the top. They attacked with 25,000, that is with mature forgiveness. And they were instructed to flee from before them. That's real important. See, because we likewise must flee from our enemies, but with forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get that?
Yeah.
Because we're drawing them out. So we have to flee before them. See, now this, in the overall scheme of things, this is the overall plan of the Most High for when this battle plays out in finality. you know, when it plays out in finality, because it does have a final play, then now you understand the overall plan. So it's not, because this is a hard thing. You know, you suited and booted, you got your war clothes on, you know, you got your gospel armor on, you ready, you know, and now you got to turn and run. You know, you just got hyped up for the battle, and now, you know, Yah tells you, okay, now turn and run. You know, we likewise must flee from our enemies. You know, what does this look like? Well, let's go to scripture and see if we can't get a picture. You know, Matthew 18:21 and 22. Then came Cephas or Peter to him and said, Adonai, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? 7 times? Yahushua saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Whoa. You got a lot of forgiving to do. Amen. Mark 11:25 and 26. And when ye stand praying, forgive. If ye have aught against any, that your Father also, which is in heaven, may forgive you your trespasses. But if ye do not forgive, neither will your Father, which is in heaven, forgive your trespasses. That's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
See, you got to learn how to battle. You got to learn how to do battle Yahshua style.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you can't just, you know, put your Pro 5 in your hip and your hunting knife on your side and thinking you're going to go out doing something, not in the spirit. It don't work that way. You got to learn how to fight. You know, you have to learn how to fight Yahshua style.
Yeah.
Let's see what this look like. Luke 23:34. We're going to go to the master example himself, Yahushua Adonai. Amen. It says, then said Yahushua, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment and cast lots. This is at this very same time when they railing them, they beating them, they spitting on them. You know, all this is going on. And he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I hope you're getting the picture.
Yeah.
I hope you're getting the picture, because it's not nothing that they can do to you that you shouldn't forgive them for.
Right.
See, a lot of people, you know, got in their heart, you know, I can forgive just about anything else, but I can't forgive this one. Yeah, you got to forgive that one too.
Yeah.
You have to let that one go too. You have to forgive them for that one too. There is nothing that you should not forgive them. Because if you want to be forgiven, you have to forgive.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's look at another example. Because every matter needs to be established by what? 2 to 3 witnesses.
Yep.
All right, so our second witness. Acts 7:59 and 60. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon Elohim. Now they stoning this brother. How many of you know stones are hard? They hurt when they hit you.
Yes, sir.
They stoned Stephen, calling upon Elohim, saying, Adonai, Yahushua, receive my spirit. And he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Adonai, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he had said this, he fell asleep. Y'all know he didn't wake up, right? That sleep means he died.
Yes, yes.
You know, this was on his very deathbed, or death stone, if you would, because he was getting stoned. He was saying, Adonai, lay this sin not to their charge. He was forgiving them even in the midst of being stoned. Even as the Messiah was forgiving them in the midst of being hung on the torture stake.
Yes, yes.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
This is huge. You have to understand this. This is how we get down. This is how we fight. This is how we scrap. This is how we box. You understand?
Yes.
We have to get this. You know, we have to confront our enemies. You can't skip over the first attack. You can't skip over this Matthew 18. And I'm gonna tell you from experience, I'm gonna tell you, in case you don't hear it from nowhere else, one of the hardest things to do is this right here. It's easier to come to blows and start fighting and kicking and screaming and scratching than it is to sit down across somebody and tell them something you know they don't want to hear. This is a very difficult thing to do, even though you're just talking. But it's a necessary thing. It's a necessary thing. So I encourage you, you know, if you need help, then start working out. You know, start working that spirit man out.
Yes, that's right.
Get him to be stronger. You do that by doing the word of the Most High.
Yeah.
You know, I hear people say all the time, you know, oh, that was a good word. Oh, man, I got full off of that one. No, you haven't ate a morsel until you done something.
Yes. Yeah.
The Messiah said, my food is do the will of the Father and finish his work.
Yes.
You know, when you're doing that, then you eat. Other than that, you just got a bunch of finely prepared meals before you. You know, stop going to the smorgasbord and not picking up no plate and getting nothing to eat. You know, you got to apply this stuff to your life. You know, so this is how we fight. We go out, we first be a witness to the truth. You know, if our enemy is coming up against us, we be a witness to the truth. Maybe they just don't know. Or maybe they forgot. They need a reminder. You know, and we'll find out if they're a true brother or sister. You know, and if they come up against them and we've forgiven them, if we truly forgiven them, you know, then we'll see just who they are. You know, where to run from. Yeah, where to take off. You know, even though they're coming up against us, we see that they're our enemy. They done shown themselves to be a foe, you know, and they're coming up against us. Where to take it. Where to keep forgiving them. You know, I know that's a hard thing to do. You know, but that's why they call it a fight, right?
Yep.
You know, fighting, you know, wasn't meant to be easy. It's supposed to be a fight. Now, thirdly, they ambushed them from the west. That is the rear. And they ambushed them with 5,000. 5 is the number of grace. So we're talking about these mature believers having the grace of the Most High, which were instructed to wait until Yahushua's signal to strike. Now that's real important. See, because even though they done ran out, you know, and you know that it's easy pickings, you can get them good right now, you have to wait
Yeah.
until Yahushua says go.
Yes.
You can't go on your own.
Mm.
We likewise must attack our enemies with grace. With grace. You know, so what does this look like? You know, we have to keep on running from our enemies until Yah says attack. And when we attack, we don't attack like the world. We attack spiritually speaking, with grace. How does that look? Well, I got a beautiful passage of Yahshua's commandments. And for those of you who are not familiar with Yahshua's commandments, Yahshua has over 100 commandments, you know, that is entailed in the Brit Hadashah, that is the New Testament. You know, and when he said stuff like, you know, if you love me, keep my commandments, this is what he was talking about. And these are a few of them right here. Matthew 5:39 says, but I say unto you, that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. Now, I don't need to tell you that you need to be a spiritual being to do this.
That's right.
Amen?
Yeah.
Because your flesh is going to be trying to rise up and smack somebody back. You know, see, but we're called to not walk in the flesh, but in the spirit. We're to walk after the spirit. Amen?
Amen.
You know, see, Yahshua knew this, and he actually done this, did he not?
Yeah.
We just read about how he was praying for him,
Yes.
even when they was about to put him on the torture stake. Amen? Stephen being stoned. You know, he done this. So don't tell me it can't be done. They done it. They set the example. And a bunch of others done it as well.
Yeah.
You know, all your apostles, they done it. But I say unto you that ye resist not evil. You know, so when that enemy on your job is coming up against you, you know, resist not evil. You know, when they smite you in some type of way, you know, turn to them the other cheek as well. Pray for y'all's strength. He'll help you. Verse 40. And if any man will sue thee at law and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. I'm teaching y'all how to fight. Anybody getting this? I'm teaching you how to fight.
Hallelujah.
And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. They trying to give you extra work at the job. Do the extra and then do some extra on top of that. That's what he's saying here. I hope you get that. That's what he's saying. He's not saying go and complain that why I got to do everything. So-and-so not doing nothing. No. He's saying if they compel you to go a mile, go two. So do that and do some more too. I'm teaching you how to fight. It worked too. I'm telling you. I'm not just speaking it. I actually live it. I've done it. You know, I know it works. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that withdraw of thee, turn thou away. It is what it is. It says what it says. Yeah, I know they borrowed before. You know, but what does your master say? Is he really your master? Hello? Ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Stop praying that Yah remove them, and start praying that Yah will bless them. Because if they were blessed, then they wouldn't have time to be worried about you.
That's right.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Instead of talking about them, try loving on them. Try going out your way to be extra kind to them. Even though they are cursed to you, be a blessing unto them. Even though they hate you, love them. Pray for them. Don't pray against them. Pray for them. Because they need it. We're going to pick this up again in Romans 12 because Paul has something to say too. He says, bless them which persecute you. Bless and curse not. Hello, somebody. Bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. That's for all the brown nosers. Be not wise in your own conceits. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Because they done evil to you don't mean that you have to do evil to them.
That's right.
In fact, if you really want to fight, do something nice for them.
Oh, yeah.
Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. Oh, what did he say? Avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. That means you to allow it. Let it happen. For it is written, vengeance is mine.
Yes.
I will repay,
That's right.
saith Adonai.
Right.
Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Think that's just a verse or just a joke if you want to. That is real.
That's right. It is.
I'm telling you, that is real. This spiritual thing is real. If you want to put it into action, if you really want to walk after the Spirit, this is what you need to do. Because you're going to have a battle.
Yes.
Don't think Ephesians 6 is there for nothing. You need those war clothes.
Yeah.
Because you're called to be a soldier. You're called to be on the battlefield.
Yeah.
You're going to have to fight at some point. So you best learn how to fight now.
That's right.
So when the battle comes, you know what to do.
Hallelujah.
See, this is real important. See, because this is how we take their camp. This is how we defeat IE. See, these are the ones with the grace of the Most High El. Grace is unmerited favor. No, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve us to be praying for them. You know, they trying to harm us. But we trying to pray blessings into their life. You know, they coming up against us And we're not even avenging ourselves. We're giving place to the wrath. I'm telling you, your Father, He got your back.
Yes, he does.
He has your back. When you do it His way, He has your back. You know, all you got to do is wait on Him. If you wait on Him, there's coming a time when you'll be able to fight back. But till then, you got to wait on Him. You got to wait for His signal. There's going to be a time when you'll be able to stop running and turn around and kick some bootay.
Yes, right.
But you got to wait on Him.
Wait on y'all, yep.
There's going to be a time when you can stop doing all this and you can start fighting back. You can ambush them. You can come from behind. But you got to wait. You got to wait for the signal. You got to go along with the plan.
Hallelujah.
See, and this speaks to where we are now today, spiritually speaking. We're in a place and a time where this is what our battle looks like. Us lying in wait and running from our enemies.
That's right, yep, that's it.
Coming up against them, bearing witness to the word, and getting beat down for it. Learn how to fight. Now, this speaks to that final battle of Ai. When we're drawing the enemy out. We draw him out of his house. We running from before him. We got our men of grace in the rear, waiting to set ambush, to ambush him, just waiting for the Messiah's, waiting for his signal so that we can get to him.
Yes.
Revelations 13, 2 through 10, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. And his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and authority. We all know who the dragon is, right? All right. And I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth to blaspheme against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. How many saints we have in here ready to go to war? You know how, you're learning how to battle. But this was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. That's just the underlay for the overplay. That overcoming us is just the underlay for the overplay. That is us turning and running.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember, this is us from the north. You know, remember the plan. It's to draw them out. You know, so yes, they're going to seem to overcome us. We're going to turn and run. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Now you need to really get this one. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. We just got finished reading about not taking vengeance upon ourselves, about resisting not evil. Amen?
Yes.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. See, your spiritual eyes should be open enough now to see that we not to fight our fight the same way that the world fight their fight.
Right.
We're making war, even as it says, make war with the saints. You know, but we're not fighting the way the world fights. We're fighting by turning and running. We're fighting by praying on their behalf. We're fighting by giving them grace, unmerited favor.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, we're fighting by when they tell us to do something, we do over and beyond what we're asked to do.
Yes.
Amen?
Amen.
This is how we're fighting. We're just sitting back waiting for that signal. Now, take note, it says, Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. See, these are the ones who are waiting. Waiting in the ambush. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. These are the ones who are waiting. They know the plan. They understand the plan. They know that they can't attack beforehand because they'll spoil the plan. These guys here, they obviously don't know the plan. That's why they're trying to lead people into captivity. And they're going into captivity. That's why they're trying to kill people. And they're being killed. You know, and that death is not just that physical death. You know, we want to be part of that first resurrection. Amen?
Yes, yes.
Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. We need to sit and wait on our Messiah. You know, now, the rest of the story of chapter 8 speaks with the altar. And the altar, it's a wonderful story entailed in there, but
Be
we're going to be continued.
patient.
That's all I have for you today. Pray with the blessing to you.